Mrs. Padhi is a 1996 batch Odisha Cadre IS officer, currently serving as Principal Secretary to Commerce and Transport Department and Skill and Development Technical Education Department in Government of Odisha. Previously, she has worked in Ministry of Civil Aviation as Additional Secretary and was the first women officer to become Director General of the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security. She was also the first women chairman and MD of Pawan Hans Limited, the national helicopter carrier. She played a crucial role in rollout of and implementation of regional connectivity scheme UDAN. She, along with the entire UDAN team, was honored with the PM's Award for Excellence in Public Administration in 2021. She has joined us today to share her experience of working in UDAN scheme and creating large-scale impact in the lives of citizens across the country. Uh, it's a pleasure to host you, Mrs. Padhi, and we are looking forward to the learnings and the impact of UDAN scheme on the citizens across the country. Welcome, Mrs. Padhi.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you for that generous introduction. And good morning, everyone who have been here in this meeting. I hope my audio is clear, that you are able to understand. Yeah,
yes.
Thank you. I am actually privileged to be here because every interaction of this type would also be a very enriching learning experience for us, and we get a lot of inputs and ideas. So thanks for having me here. Let me start with the presentation. I have a small presentation, but before that, if somebody asks me what is UDAN, then it is, I mean, especially for the business schools, I can say that we are marrying the welfare scheme with the market. So, which is very rarely happens in any government program, especially the welfare programs or the social, the programs with the social goals. Can I make the presentation through this sharing screen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Let me go through this. You have to tell me whether I'm able to make the screen visible.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is visible. Now, is it in the presentation format, slideshow mode?
Yes, it is now. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I just try to make it concise, but I would like to hear from you if you want any specific information about this scheme you want to know. And because of the time positive, maybe I mean it's easy for me to talk about UDAN whole day, but speaking for 10-15 minutes is very, very difficult, and it is so close to our heart. So once I start, I may not stop. So I think I request Mr. Venkatesh to show me or prompt me about the time limit. So maybe after 10-12 minutes, you can ask me to shift to the basic topic of this your governance challenge. Maybe a bit of that also I'll explain in next 5-6 minutes. So before 20 minutes, I should close. At least 10 minutes we should keep for the discussion. And even if there are some burning questions, if I am not able to answer, I'll take the help of Samagra, where they will be able to share these questions with me, and I would love to get back to them with whatever satisfying answer I have. Thank you. Let me go with this. So, Uday Desh Ka Aam Nagrik was never the name of the scheme. In the budget, it was announced as a regional connectivity scheme. So this is, I'll start with the name, and because the branding matters. So when we started the advertisement, the first advertisement during the launch, the previous night up to 1 o'clock, 1 a.m., we were sitting and we're thinking how many will understand regional connectivity scheme every time we speak. So we said that it should be something very, very attractive. That is going to help us the branding of the scheme. So this is how the name came. So I'm grateful to my team for bringing that name, which becomes synonymous with flying, synonymous with the aspiration of the people. This is what in the first flight when we started between Delhi and Shimla, though Shimla had a lot of, I mean, like airports, very old airport, but they couldn't have the sustainable connectivity for a very, very long period. And it's a state capital. So they were having such a demand. And it's going to kickstart various activities in and around Shimla. It will be like for tourism and everything, it would have been important. So when we start, this was the message which was given. that I mean, this summarizes the entire objective of the Udan scheme. Like the common person or common man is seen as somebody who is wearing a Hawaii chappal. So that's what the Honorable Prime Minister said, that I want to see every, I mean, like the people who are wearing Hawaii chappal should be available or seen in the Hawaii Jahaj. So this was the very motivational thing for us, and this kept on making us work towards keeping this theme as center. I mean, like though aviation is considered as a very elite sector or very technical sector, but this made us to, I mean, keep us ourselves close to the ground. I mean, what is in the center of our scheme? It is human. It is about the citizens' convenience. It is about the citizens' affordability. It is about the providing the connectivity to the people who are herefore unconnected. That was the theme which we want. I mean, this is one more message I would like to draw in this slide, that if you want to go from one point to another, the center point of the theme cannot be lost. So that is where we went ahead. This is where the problem statement. I mean, all of you are participating in a challenge where some problem statement has been given. For us, the only one problem statement was given, that you have to connect the cities, the towns where it has not been connected, and it has come from one of the, I mean, like the political leadership is important. When 2014 government came, they were having a small line in their manifesto where they mentioned about the tier 2, tier 3 cities would be connected, air connectivity would be there. So that is the only problem statement we had. Then we went to the background, how we can do it. And yes, I mean, like if you see the bottom 3 words which I have mentioned, so these are the 3 things which we wanted to keep it in our mind. Saying that, okay, we have to give the connectivity. That's what they have been given us the responsibility. And if you see the connectivity, in India, like the 2014 onwards, if people are in a business school, so you may be knowing that 2014 onwards, like there was a boom in aviation. I mean, that it's a very what you call sensitive sector. Boom and bust happen. But because of the fuel prices, 2014, it was like aviation was growing up. But where the benefits were going? Only to the metros. So in our analysis, we found that, okay, it's very concentrated. It is very skewedly, I mean, inclined to the for the benefit of the metros. I mean, the air connectivity benefits would not reach to the people because, I mean, like they are staying somewhere very far. So if we want to take the connectivity to them, then we have to make sure that this is spread out across the nook and corner of this country. So that's why we said that, okay, connectivity is to happen. It has to happen near to the habitations. What is the best advantage of the air connectivity? The fastest, most efficient mode of transportation for the long distances. So for that, they have to do, I can't expect them to go to another city, metro city, from there take another flight, then from there another mode of transportation. So what is the fun of having their connectivity when they're not able to reach their places very fast and most efficient? So that is how we said that, okay, we will have to bring the infrastructure which is very close to the habitation. Next, if I have the infrastructure, okay, flights will go there. Why they will go there? If somebody pays very heavily, then only they will be able to go there, because operational cost is very high to go to those places. So we said that, okay, let us make it affordable. So even if I make it affordable, so it has to be accessible. So open it up to all the people who are in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, so that we can get more people. So this was the analysis, I mean, problem analysis, where we did identify where we need to do. If I want to do infrastructure, whether I should go for the land acquisition and do it? No. We found what is the existing resources. India is blessed with so many airstrips which are in every district. Maybe because of the Second World War, whatever reason it has been constructed, it has not been utilized. So we use them as a gold mines. Utilize, identify this, map this, go there, try to upgrade them, then bring the airlines, try to connect, and it should be linked. Where the demand, so accordingly we have to make it happen. So these are a few guiding principles. I will not get into the depth of it, but I'll basically touch upon. If you want more information, maybe I can come back during the Q&A. So as I said, infrastructure development, we made it a point. It was very difficult to change that mindset that aviation is the elite mode of transportation. It was not required for the common people. So changing that mindset and bringing that infrastructure development is a public good, whether it is a road or it is an airport, it has to happen. Then they said that you build the airport, but it will not be utilized. It will become a ghost airport. How do you do it? We said that, okay, we'll do the market survey. We'll go by the industry demand. Where the demand comes, we'll go and do it. So this is where we convinced and we got the 4,500 crores of rupees only for the infrastructure development. This is first time when Government of India recognized that airstrips or airports are important for connectivity, and that too in the hinterlands. Connectivity with affordability, as I said, we anchored something in the center of this scheme, which is, okay, we can compare what is affordable. It depends, maybe affordability for maybe the big company may be different. For a common man, it is affordability is different. So where do we pitch in? We anchored at, okay, we can compare it with the railway second class. Maybe those are the target group or whoever would be able to pay for that long distance, who will go by the railway. So that is where we can say that, okay, instead of railway, you can go through this. Your travel time would be saved, which nowadays is very, very important. And also you will be able to save all those incidental charges which will be incurring if you travel for a very long period. So we put that, we calibrated, regressed, indexed, everything. I mean, like till the day it started in 2016 till now, the 2,500 rupees per hour, which is around 500 to 600 kilometers by the flight, that is where the train fare can be matched. So that is how we are anchoring that. Then we said that if we are giving that, then what is the fun? I mean, airlines, why they will fly for this much of amount? Then we said that, okay, we will bring down the operational cost. Per seat cost, we'll bring it down. Let us try to bring it down by monetary and non-monetary incentives. Here it is very, very important. Again, I'll say that there are so many non-monetary incentives which we can bring into the industry, which we don't look into. Maybe it's a tax moratorium, or maybe giving some concession in the landing parking charges or in a navigational charges. We went to the details of nitty-gritty of what is the operational cost of the airline. So we brought it down. We said that, okay, please try to collect, I mean, like making even the private operator like GMR, GVK, everybody. We took everybody on board and we said that, okay, you can true it up with other charges, but here bring down the cost. For Udan flight, even Mumbai airport doesn't charge anything. So that is how we brought industry thing. Everybody took the haircut a bit, thinking that it will offset with the passenger footfall, because we are bringing the passengers, we're increasing the size of the pie. Similarly, monetary, we said that, where do we get the money? Big no-no, because Government of India thinks subsidy, and all of you, I mean, most of you would be thinking that subsidy is a bad word in economy. So we said that, okay, subsidy would be given, but it in the form of the viability gap funding. So, but they said no money from the budget. Udan doesn't take any money for the viability gap funding other than the infrastructure fund, which is another budget line. We haven't taken any single pie from the budget of Government of India. Where did the money came from for the viability gap? We made this cross subsidy. If you are going from Delhi to Bombay or any other trunk routes, which we call the profitable routes, where your ticket mentions that there is a levy on regional connectivity scheme, RCS levy, where you are paying per seat. Maybe we started with the 50 rupees, maybe it has gradually increased, maybe you'll be paying 100 rupees or something. We said per aircraft of 180-seater, sort of like a 320 or 777, where we will be charging 5,000 per aircraft, whether it airline gives from their revenue or they put it or they pass it through the passengers, it is their discretion. But we said that this will come. So 500 crores, then it is there. This is the only scheme which tried to link with the state governments. Believe me, till I joined, I mean, I was in the right time, right place in MUCA, Ministry of Civil Aviation. States were very passive participants because aviation is a central subject in our constitution. It's not even concurrent. So the only land acquisition was through the state government, nothing else. But we said that they are the partners. Let us bring state on board, where the cost will come down from the aviation. Security cost is very high. Fire, various other incidental cost, electricity, water, everything. We said, okay, state government, please pick this tab. The aircraft will come to your state. And also pay us 20% of the viability gap funding and sign an MOU with us. Irrespective of the party line, every every state, all the states have come up with the MOU. This scheme has a distinct recognition of being one scheme where every state has come forward with contribution. They have signed the MOU. In most of the cases, what happens? The state center is giving the supported scheme. Even in states and center supporting schemes also, it is very difficult that state come without much conditions. But here it happened just because we were able to show that the benefit goes to the state. And you know that the aviation is like having a multiplier effect on the economy. So that is how parallelly we work with the state, saying that it will have a multiplier effect. It is 3.25 is the number where we say that if you spend 1 rupees, you'll be able to generate more than 3 rupees in your economy. And even for the, of course, the employment is around 6. So that is how we sell this. States were made to buy in this scheme. Differential fares, again, we said that how many times or how many years we are going to give this, whether it is going to be perpetual. No. All these questions, because all of you are becoming people who are part of the policy making. So you will be able to, you will be questioned that. If you are going, whether it is sustainable, whether you are able to go have the sunset clause in the scheme. So this is where we had the sunset clause. We said that only 3 years we give. So after 3 years, what will happen? So we said, okay, from the day one, only 50% of the aircraft or only 40 seats will be tapped with this number. Remaining, allow them to sell it in the market, develop the route, make sure that by 3rd year you'll be able to. So there are many other questions also, because some routes did not click after this. What I used to call a mortality rate of my route, but still it was okay for me because we are testing the market. If it is not matured enough, it will happen, but let me try this, kickstart the market. Otherwise, it will happen. Yes, it will happen. It may take 15 years to connect the Bareilly airport. But if I do it today. And we started with one airport. There are, without subsidy, there are other 8 aircraft which are connecting various cities to Bareilly or Jagdalpur for that matter, various other small stations, whether Kishore, Jamnagar, etc., etc. I have plenty of examples. So this was said that differential fares, wherever we have given VGF per seat, those numbers, you sell it at the affordable price, remaining we left it to the market. Again, and that's why I said that it is marrying the market into the whatever welfare scheme we had for the people. Market determined routes, I did not check. I just gave a what we call a nudge. So we said that market has to be determining the routes. So, but how do, like Northeast, why do they select the Northeast? If you see the last point where I said that we have nudged them saying that, okay, it is market determined routes, but go to the Northeast, you'll get 1.25 more. So you will get more benefit there. So that is how we made it an incentive driven scheme, so that they will be able to go to the areas where we are interested to go. So that is how we did it. State ownership, I have already spoken to you. So this is what it shows, whether I say or you say, it has got a traction. Whether government wants, it doesn't want, there is a template now. Like Odisha, we have taken the template. We have started doing on our own. Assam starts on its own. So we have given a template where we said that, yes, on some routes where you want to kickstart the operation. So identify what is the cost. If market does it on your own, it's okay. If it doesn't do it, then intervene. Wherever public good is there, invest your money. Wherever the private good is there, just make the cost lower so that the private will participate. If still there is a gap, come up with the viability gap funding with a sunset clause. So we have a template which can be used everywhere. Just I'll make one whatever the central theme. In 70 years of our independence, when the UDAN was launched, only 70 airports were actually functioning with the commercial flight. Within 7 years, in spite of 2 years or 2.5 years of COVID, 75 airports in 7 years. 70 years versus 7 years. This is what UDAN has done. And this has made the change, which is completely, game changer, and democratize the entire sector. So the person who is sitting next to you, many times I get the complaint, okay, your airports are not up to the standard. I am very happy about it, because I just wanted it to be functional airport. This is a mode of transportation. It is not, yes, there for some niche sector, it is required as a luxury. Maybe some people, high net worth people, want to come for tourism. I want to cater to that need. That is very, yeah, that also has to happen. I don't say no. But if it is a functional airport, if you go to airport in, let us say, Bidar in Karnataka, in an Air Force airport, we have taken a small enclave. We have made it a small 2 rooms airport, but still it is functioning. I mean, people who are 800 kilometers from Bangalore, they travel in 1.5, 2 hours, whereas it used to take them 16 hours. So that is how it matters. If the infrastructure has to be functional, the aircraft has to be functional. That is what it is. That is the message we have given. So as I said, the template was used during the COVID Lifeline Udan, where that is one problem nobody faced during the, I think I've crossed 20 minutes already. So there is absolutely, um, I mean, like, no complaint about the medical equipment, medical thing. I mean, vaccine or medical whatever, utility items, this protective kits, everything. There was no shortage, because every day we used to run under the Lifeline Udan. Say similar thing has happened for the cargo movement, which is again a Krushi Udan. As I said, it is template. So we have some figures to show what lessons we learned. Yeah, leadership, because it has to come, it has to be there. Collaborative effort, as I said, it is from the industry. Who is giving us the money? Industry. Who is utilizing it? By industry. Who is getting benefit? Hopefully industry and the people. So everybody had something from the scheme. That's why it had the traction. Institutional arrangement and technological, I need not re-emphasize this, so all of you know that we wanted to bring that equalizer through technology. And if you ask, this presentation is available with the organizer, so you can share that, you can use it in whatever way you want. The only thing which I personally feel what Udan has achieved has fulfilled the need of the aspiration of the people. Whether they travel in aircraft or not, that's a secondary thing, but they feel that yes, they have come to the time. I mean, that is how the people have started dreaming more, dreaming about mobility, dreaming about reaching higher. So this is how the Udan has become a synchronized, I mean, like, synonymous with the aspiration of the people. That is how I see it. But other benefits, yes, you can see, and it has been actually noted also. The empirical data shows about it. So the things which we continue, as I said, after coming back in Odisha, before coming to Odisha or any other state, they have also started. These are few things which are in news. This is how the journey continues. As I said, Shimla, it happens. Utkela is in Kalahandi. Believe me, I mean, some of you who are familiar with Odisha, Kalahandi is the district which used to be famous for these stories, tear-jerking stories. But now it is, I mean, it is connected from Bhubaneswar. If you come within an hour, you can reach Utkela, and maybe on the next day you can come back also. So this is what I wanted to stop here. Maybe I have completed more than 20 minutes, I think. I don't know. If you take that just introduction of 2 to 3 minutes, yes, I'm within 20. And maybe about women empowerment during the course, I can speak a bit. I will only say, I may take 2 minutes more. The women empowerment or gender equity, there is a broad spectrum. Some people say that, I mean, like, in one corner, they say that women are better and they should be treated completely differently. In the other end of the spectrum, they are saying that, okay, women are having inner strength, they should tap into their strength, femininity is more important, and all those things. I mean, they are caregivers. All, I mean, like, this is a wide spectrum. So where do we stand? Or if you ask me, very objectively, in 2 levels. One is a right based. It is also human right based issue, where we have to address the rights because that is important. You cannot segregate based on the gender. If you see the life cycle, at every stage there is a discrimination that has to be addressed. And the second is about the development approach, where a big stakeholder, women, cannot be left behind for any development of any country or the nation or the community as such. Equality development happens when women are part of the development process. So that is why we say that women-led development process. So how do we, I mean, like for the right-based, you have lot many government policies which are implemented. I'll not get into the detail. You know it, or if you want, I can subsequently, I can contact you and tell that. And about the development basis also, like in Odisha, we have Mission Shakti, which is like a women-led. I mean, you do for something for them as a right-based, but whether what is their right and what should be given, it should not be decided by anybody else. They should also have that choice or opportunity to say what is required and how it is. So it is a development also to be led by them. So this is how we I see, and if you want to know more, I will be able to tell you. Okay, thank you so much, and thanks for patient hearing, and it's a pleasure to be talking to you. Please, I am open to any question answer and whatever time available. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
ma'am.
Pari.
So we have a few.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I think this has been a tremendous journey. And then the keywords that you highlighted, the market-led approach, the citizen being at the center of it, the branding part of it, making it accessible, affordable, and connectivity being the prime thing, and also just taking everyone along. I feel being in the government, taking even the market along, even the industry along, that's really, really great to hear. I think we have few questions. Venkatesh, if you can guide us through the questions.
Yes, we have a few questions in the chat, so we'll be taking them up. So we have a question by Surya Pratap from I am Udaipur. How do the public administrators decide the process of withdrawing, the state support of schemes like Udan, where welfare is tied to the benefit with market forces?
I think he has already mentioned, I mean, some part of the answer in the question itself. The withdrawal of any popular scheme is a problem. I completely agree. But that is how these schemes are built. Where I mean, what is the good? What is I mean, good policy? It should also take care of all the implementation issues. So in that way, there has to be a sunset clause, which I have already mentioned. And there is also a link to the market when we did the bidding. So 100% seats are not tied with the subsidy. And there is all, I mean, it gives, I mean, if there is a demand, and we went for a what we call challenging or the Swiss challenge process, in which the routes are put on a competent basis. I mean, there is also an exclusivity clause. So for time, I mean, for 3 years, we will allow them to develop and get their return on the investment. So in that case, they will be able to develop the route, and after 3 years they will be able to run it on own. And from the day one, I'm making it clear, it's not that there is something, because automatically it happens, it is on autopilot mode. Whether I have to give the continued subsidy or not, it doesn't happen, because after 3 years it is going to be discontinued. So there are few nuances which have been added in the scheme, which is not normally part of other schemes, where we said that it will happen automatically after 3 years. So it is there from the day one. Believe me, when we started in Darbhanga, the 3 routes started. I mean, Darbhanga, you know that the very, I mean, northern part of the Bihar, we started with 3. I think they have taken these routes on 0 VGF. No VGF was asked. It's already market linked from the day one. So that is how, because they knew that the demand is there. So they just wanted, okay, give us some exclusivity. And I get the complaint in Darbhanga. It's like a problem of plenty, where they say that, okay, your aircraft are coming, we are connected to 8 cities or 6 cities. Of course, COVID affected a bit, but they say that the tickets are sold at 15,000, 20,000. Where is your affordability? I will say that, okay, it's a 0 VGF. It doesn't come, but but first come, first serve. At least 40 seats are sold at the cap. Remaining, I can't ensure, because it has to be market driven. Okay, so I hope I have answered to some extent. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am. We have a next question by Dr. Geetika Simha from Bitsom. So the question is that prior to Udan scheme, the northeast states were often described as being disconnected from the mainland India. Udan has provided this, address this challenge by providing subsidies to airlines to operate flights on unserved and underserved routes in the northeastern region of numerous cities. What unique challenges did you face in implementing, in this specific area, that is the northeast area, given the diverse topography, the diverse conditions, and the population density?
As far as the number of airports are concerned, I can say that when we started, we had 9 airports in Northeast. When I left the ministry, we had 15 airports in Northeast. Then the challenges we had, yes, like when aviation is a supply constrained market. Even now in Bhubaneswar, I say that I am going to give subsidy to Dehradun route. No airline is coming because they are making money anyway in the various routes, and the aircrafts are coming very slowly to the country, and they are not interested to come. Even I am ready to give the money. So why will they go to Northeast by leaving the profitable routes? So as I said, we have tried to put the incentive within the scheme. So initially, when we went for the first round of bidding, nobody came for Northeast. Then we said, what is the problem? The big aircrafts are not ready to go. Then we said for this, okay, let us have for the small aircraft. So we brought in a small aircraft scheme. We brought in a helicopter scheme. So because even for the airstrip, there is a problem. So we started the helicopter policy within UDAN. So we said that, okay, 10% will be earmarked for the helicopters, and whoever runs there, they will be given money. So helicopters came in. Small aircraft like Uttarakhand, then some of the places, yes. But because we don't have small aircraft, many small aircraft in the country did not still work. Then Arunachal, they said that we don't even have the aircraft. How does your small aircraft scheme work? Within the UDAN, we brought so many templates. So they said it is not there. Then we said, okay, problem is very extraordinary. Let us bring the extraordinary solution for that. How did you do that? We went back to Northeastern Ministry donor and we said that don't tell us that the subsidy, this, that and all will not work, because you have to see it don't do the financial analysis, don't make the economic analysis. Economic analysis shows that if you have to bring the aviation connectivity there, Arunachal is northeast part of the Northeast, if you see. And the map, if you see that it's such a long stretch and it is very strategically very, very important to India. So in such a way that we said that, okay, they asked what you want. We said that there is no small aircraft which will operate in Arunachal. Give us the small aircraft. We went to HAL, we bought Dornier and gave it to Alliance. Not bought in the sense lease, on lease we bought it. Gave it to Alliance, which is again a PSU, asked them to run it. If somebody asks me whether it's sustainable, no, it is not sustainable on its own, because market will never be of that standard to sustain such an expensive operation. But whether it is worth, yes, considering all this aspect, if I monetize this, all the aspect, including the strategic nature, it is important for the northeastern states. So we gave one aircraft, 20-seater to Arunachal Pradesh, only run intrastate connectivity. So for extraordinary problem, we have to find the extraordinary solution. And sometimes we have to defy that what is obvious to the market, because you have to get into the other aspect which makes it a worth or a deserving initiative in those regions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Padi. I think we'll have to close this because we'll have to start the next panel. But it was truly inspiring to hear the story of UDAN, especially for the audience over here, I'm sure, because as I said before, the market-led approach, and that's what is being also taught in B schools as well, and seeing that in action within the government, and also a certain degree of entrepreneurial spirit to get this going within the government, trying, then failing, and then trying something else is really, really remarkable for all of us. And we are it was our pleasure to host you, Mrs. Padi, for that Governance Challenge Nationals. I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And we'll collate all the questions that we have gotten, and then we'll try to get the answers from you and then circulate with everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. But I would also like to put it on record before everyone that whatever I said, it has been possible because I had very very committed colleagues, both from the industry and within the government, and that is how we could get something for the public service. Such scheme or initiative. So I would like to thank everyone, and I will only wish best of luck for all of you. My compliments and greetings to you. Let your journey also be so blissful with all those people who would be able to help, and you will be able to collaborate. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I can leave now?
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, I think we can start the panel discussion. I think we have all the four panelists who have joined us on the Zoom call. It'll be great if all of you can switch on your video so that we can spotlight all of you. Um,
Cool. Thanks, Venkatesh. As the panelists start spotlighting, I think I'll just get started with the introductions. So quickly, so I'm Ujjwal. I'm from the TGC team, and I'll just start with the panel discussion. Welcome to all our panelists. So I'm extremely excited to host this panel today. As part of this panel, we have four leaders from very distinct backgrounds with us today, ranging from a consulting partner turned government leader, Seema, to an investor CEO, Smita, to a grassroots change maker, Madhu, to actually an economist, which is Sona. So we have an extremely diverse panel, and I don't think we could have had a better panel to discuss this important theme of women empowerment. And I'm quite excited to begin this discussion. But of course, before we get started, I would like to introduce each of our esteemed panelists in further detail. So first up, we have Seema, an alumnus of IIM Calcutta. She is currently serving as the vice chairperson of the Punjab Development Commission with the government of Punjab. She has had a distinguished career marked by a unique blend of expertise in both private and public sectors. Prior to her current stint at the Punjab Development Commission, Seema spent 23 years at BCG. Since joining BCG in 2000, Seema worked extensively in the financial services and telecommunications. She has also had significant experience in organization-related topics. In the public sector space, Seema has had very rich experience in early, primary, and secondary education, food security, nutrition, skill building, and governance within government agencies. Welcome, Seema. Next up, we have Smita. So Smita, currently serving as the president and CEO of Grey Matters Capital, has lived and worked in Africa, Asia, Europe, US with both for-profit and not-for-profit institutions. As the very first employee of India office in Grey Matters, she has played a pivotal role in shaping the organization's trajectory. Amongst multiple initiatives, she has architected and led EdLabs, an initiative providing seed funding to visionary edupreneurs, focusing on affordable solutions for 21st century skills, skilling and working, and so on. Beyond Grey Matter Capital, Smita serves on multiple boards, including those of Indian School Finance Company, Edfin Microfinance Bank in Nigeria, the India Board of World Reader, and so much more. Currently, Smita and her team are focused on investing equity in early stage enterprises and shaping ecosystem initiatives as tools to create pathways for women and girls in the areas of learning, skilling, economic participation, and well-being. Welcome, Smita. Next up, we have Madhu. Madhu, an alumnus of IIM Lucknow and an accomplished professional, is currently serving as an integrator at Pradhan, an organization which is recognized as the pioneer of the model of organizing women into self-help groups in India. Madhu's career has been driven by passion for creating impactful change in society, particularly for those who are vulnerable and less fortunate. Her commitment to societal betterment led her to Pradhan in 1991, and since then she has been playing a crucial role in promoting self-help groups, developing locally relevant economic activities, mobilizing finances from government schemes, and introducing models aimed at improving the livelihoods of rural poor while ensuring sustained progress. Welcome, Madhu. And finally, we have Sona Mitra with us. Sona, currently serving as the principal economist with iWage, which basically stands for the Institute for What Works to Advance Gender Equality, has been working in the area of women and development for the last 1.5 decades. Her core research interests are in the areas related to women's economic empowerment. She has looked extensively into the casualties of low work participation rates of women in India within a political economy framework, and has studied in great detail the gender gaps that exist in the labor force surveys conducted by Government of India. She completed her master's and PhD in economics from JNU, and her doctoral thesis looked at the relationship between macroeconomic growth and women's employment in India since 1990s. Beyond her current role, she has also contributed significantly, having worked with Center for Budget and Governance Accountability and the National Institute of Public Finance. Welcome, Sona. It's just extremely exciting to see have all of you in the same room. So, of course, given the diversity within this panel, I would love to start with understanding how each of you in your own working context define the phrase women empowerment. It's a much loaded term, but how do you define it? And any of you could begin, Seema, Madhu, whoever may want to.
No, I think Madhu should start. She works at the grassroots. It's probably perfectly placed to talk about this.
Very simply, I kind of, right from my initial days, I kind of, intuitively said that, when women have more control over their lives, that's very simply how I kind of see, in my mind, that conception has been there. And I kind of still go by that as my, North Pole, as the driving force. Yeah.
Got it.
I'll go next. I would say that, continuing with what Madhu is saying, it's basically choice, voice, and agency, right? Opportunities. That's if a woman feels that she has choice, voice, and agency, she's empowered. And like the Maslow's hierarchy, it has to start with security needs, all the way to self-actualization, and maybe the sixth step, which is not very well known, is around transcendence, right? Where you contribute back to the society, where she feels she's powerful. That's when she's empowered. And that's what I think all of us in our different capacities are holding pieces of the puzzle, which we are trying to enable.
Let me just add to that. I completely agree. And I think the way I think of the word transcendence is, you can have many different things, but then when you get to the top of the hierarchy, I think being able to have breakout ambition, breakout aspiration, being able to feel that it's not just about achieving till X, but, going beyond. In my previous job, we used to call for the desire and the ability to reach for the stars, and no lesser than anyone else. Right?
Yeah, I agree to all the things that have been said. Just have to add one that I think in a way in which we should also look at it is empowerment of women. It's also about increased access and control over resources that they have. And I would just like to add that bit because earning is not always accompanied by the decision to spend the money. I think that control over the earnings, control over the assets, I think that is also something that adds to the empowerment.
Got it. So I think some interesting phrases that I'm hearing. So one is like choice of what I want to do. I have the choice and I'm not constrained by society in any way. I have the right to be ambitious, to aim for whatever I may want to. I have control over resources to enable my own journey. Right. And then finally, I can also contribute back and feel powerful that I'm not just I'm a receiver of what's happening in the society, but a contributor of what can happen. So I think just lovely articulation of what it actually entails. But moving on, going deeper into each of your work. So Smita, I would love to begin with you. So given that you're an investor, how do you balance the profit-driven aspects of impact investing with the broader mission of empowering women and girls in the Global South through your work at Grey Matters Capital?
Yeah, so I think, because it's B schools, right, over here, maybe frameworks are better. So for everything, right, whether your own personal life or an organization, there is a DNA. And then there is the expression of the DNA and the metrics which you will track, right? So if you go back to Grey Matters Capital, it started even before the impact investing. And impact investing, as most of your B school students might know, it's a fairly recent phenomena, 2006, 2007, right? So only 15 years since when it came about, and it is, profit and purpose together. Maybe with muted returns or with catalytic capital or with full returns, but you essentially believe that profit and purpose can happen. So how did we go about doing it in Grey Matters? So initially, even before the term impact investing, we've been always women, our why has been very women-led. We were in the microfinance, space, and in terms of bridging grant capital to commercial capital. That was our role. And over there, it got imbibed in our DNA, because as Madhu can say, right, a lot of these self-help groups were women driven, and then they wanted things for education, and we went and set up education finance banks and all that. So the DNA always has been women led, and we adopted it in our mission, saying finding purpose with 100 million women. When they find their why, we will find our why. Then in terms of how does it express itself is in the allocation of capital, right? We do very early stage catalytic equity stents. We have also started doing debt. We've set up banks which do debt, but we also do it on our particular balance sheet, and we do outcome funding, right? And whenever we get an investment, we measure it on the two frameworks, right? A 2x2 matrix. If you see, one is of course, the returns part of it, and the other is the social impact. And in the women's kind of case, it can, the gender impact angles which we measure can go all the way right from starting in leadership, whether it's co-founders, founders, balance sheet positions are held by women in that particular company, goes down to the employee participation, the value chain, the products and services. And over there, we are not expecting an overnight change, but we measure delta changes in where that particular company is, and whether they are committing to a delta change, right, in the movement of it. The last metric which we measure, and Sona is absolutely right, it's not just economic, but economic metrics also, actually money in the hands of women, which some of our different initiatives are able to do, is a key measurement. Because the moment you go from 0 to even 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees in a rural setting, or even in a peri-urban, it gives you power. So that's the last metric. So the DNA, the expression of the DNA by ensuring that capital is allocated in different buckets which are fit for purpose, and then a metric, right, with your investee companies who are our agents, and also internally, right, have we been able to get more women money in their hands, right, other than all these metrics.
Thanks, Mitas. Thank you so much. Just building on this, Madhu, can you explain how self-help groups have played a role in just improving the economic independence within rural women? What has been the journey so far?
Yeah, so thanks so much, Ujjwal. And I think, several studies over the years have kind of shown the impact of, mobilizing women into self-help groups. And it's so as, I guess this is a aware audience, and everyone maybe would be knowing about, how the SHG movement kind of came into being. It's not only, just predicated mainly around, financial intermediation, but the impacts of SHGs have kind of not only been around the financial outcomes, but also there are several other collateral benefits that have been been shown to have benefited women, such as through enhanced solidarity, enhanced confidence, and an increased public space for women in the community, along with also more space, more power to women within their households. So going back to Pradhan along with organizations such as Mairada were one of the first civil society organizations in the SHG movement, right from 1987, when we kind of formed the first self-help group in Rajasthan in Alwar. Since then, the SHG work within Pradhan has kind of gone through several phases of evolution, etc. I don't think there's enough time to go into that, but suffice it to say that the design of SHG has kind of stood the test of time in terms of, scalability, sustainability at scale. However, sharing from Pradhan's own learning, which is also, mirrored in larger government programming, are two things that, loans may not always translate into livelihoods, which was the core essence of SHGs. So therefore, our learning was, and we've kind of worked on that. Therefore, the need to work on several other aspects to create an ecosystem for livelihood promotion for marginalized communities, right from, creating prototypes and creating ecosystem of support and, working on people's mental models. And the last one is kind of particularly important when you work with communities that have been on the margins for, kind of centuries. So that's one learning which has kind of informed and
So,
influenced
Badal, sorry to
Pradhan's.
disturb, but can you just add one example maybe of what this mental model means? Like what, like you're saying, it's not just the money, but like preparing them for actually using it well. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, we particularly work with the tribal community. So, I don't know how many of you are kind of have some, but basically, I mean, there is this self-view among a typical tribal, and it's not only women, it's also with the men, that, I am not as capable. So that's what I was referring to when I said mental model. So I can actually grow a commercial plot of, vegetables or tomatoes, hybrid tomatoes, which, I've seen others grow. I've probably worked on others' fields, but I can, also be like that. So that self-view kind of also has been, the basis for Pradhan's work. So actually, Pradhan's basic premise has been that material resources by itself are not adequate to take people out of pervasive poverty, and it is actually people's self-view that needs to be changed. And if you know people, the major poverty alleviation programs like the IRDP, Integrated Rural Development Program, which actually saw people being given cows, but then people giving away those cows because they didn't think that they could actually take care. So, and including several other aspects. So that's what I mean, that, so that's been a major construct of, Pradhan's work. I will not go into the, more details, although it's very tempting considering the young audience that we have.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Thank you so much. Seema, actually, we'll just move on to you. So, of course, through your deep work in early primary and secondary education, I wanted to understand what have been your gender-linked observations, particularly, and how have those been incorporated as you design interventions, as you think of it, kind of interventions?
Thanks for that question, Ujjwal. I think, look, many wins on the education side. If you look at gender participation, gender participation is moving to a place where it's almost equal for men and women, whether it be in primary, middle school, or secondary. Even in higher education, actually, general higher education, gender participation is, the gap is reducing very, very rapidly. So I think that's a big win. I think in terms of role modeling, if you see the number of women that students, whether they're male or female, see as teachers, see as people inside their sort of environment, school environment, that is also increasing exponentially. A lot more women in the education space. So I think those are the big wins, but I think there's still a lot more to be done. I think one is when it comes to investing in a girl's education, right, that investment from a family is always lesser. So while the girl and the boy may go to school, but if there is one person who can go to a better school and the other one who kind of goes to a low income or a government school, it will be the girl who goes to the closer government school, and the male child will actually get better education. If there's one person who can get a technical education which will lead to employment versus just getting a degree, that gender gap will always be there. Risk taking ability with respect to girls and boys. So parents still feel uncomfortable sending their daughters further away, so while I think purely in terms of numbers and participation, I think the numbers are moving in the right direction. When you really dig a little bit deeper, you still see significant challenges, which then lead to all of the things that we're talking about, that Madhu and Smita talked about, in terms of employability, in terms of employment, money in the hands of women, etc. So that's one. But I think the bigger challenge still continues to be in school education is our curricula and our pedagogy. It is still so gendered, right? It is still so gendered. If you open up any book, right, whether it's a Hindi book or a, like a languages book or an English book, whether it is even other things, maths problems, which are, which are actually like word problems, the gender element is just so strong in those. The stereotypes which are actually promoted are just so strong in those, that what this is doing in terms of, some of the things that we talked about, mental frames, mental mindsets about the role of men and women in society, boys and girls in society, that is not changing adequately, right? And as much as our NCF and our NCRT conversation happens around making our curricula gender neutral or gender positive, that is just actually not seen. I mean, I am sometimes appalled at the kinds of things that one still reads, in a grade 3 storybook, and how the girls are portrayed and how boys are portrayed, or how a marriage is portrayed, or how honestly things like a mother-in-law etc are portrayed, right? And how professions are portrayed, and which professions are women and which professions are men. And so I think what I'm trying to say is that we've achieved a lot of the very basic stuff, like the numbers tell a good story, but when you actually dig deeper and when you get to the harder stuff, I think that's where a lot needs to be done. And unless what we are teaching to our kids in schools and the way we are teaching it and what is the messaging which is coming out of that changes, we will always be playing a catch-up game, later on, in terms of thinking about mental mindsets and perception of girls and perception of boys.
Oh, thank you. I think that's a very important point. Like if I'm reading 10 examples in one chapter, how much of he is being used versus a she? How much am I opening the imagination of girls that I can be this person? I think that matters a lot.
And boys about what girls can be and what girls
Yeah,
should be,
yeah.
right? The imagination of boys.
The roles that either can play at all points in time. Got it. So thank you so much. So, now moving on to you, I want to touch upon two extremely important themes. So I think Smita mentioned metrics. She touched upon metrics. So as an economist, what metrics do you feel are the most important to measure at an individual and societal level when you're really trying to assess if women empowerment has seen that delta or not? That's the first theme that I'd love to know your thoughts on. And secondly, I think given the growing recognition of household work, which is a massive part, which is a substantial contributor to the economy, what are some innovative strategies or policies such that we can further acknowledge, quantify, and integrate this unpaid labor into the main economy? Like how can that be more fairly recognized? So these are two critical themes that I wanted to touch upon. Yeah.
Very, very broad, but very crucial. Thanks so much for the questions. And thanks so much to the others who have already spoken about a few things. I think one of the crucial indicators of women's economic empowerment is about how women have progressed, of course, but progress in terms of, I think, three broad categories that we should be looking at. One is the social progress. That is when we talk about the basic educational outcomes of women and girls, health outcomes of women and girls. And the second one is economic outcomes. Where are women located? What are they doing in terms of their jobs? Where are the livelihoods? How many women are participating in the labor force, how many are looking for a job but not really getting them, and how many are actually out of the labor force. And the third crucial indicator, I would say, is the norms that we need to understand in terms of understanding the progress of women's empowerment. So while we have the social moving very, I mean, the numbers actually tell us a good story that Seema was talking about, the social, in terms of the education outcomes, in terms of the health outcomes, whatever we have done. If we look at a 30 years span, we have done very well, actually. But if we look at smaller, shorter spans, then we'll see the progress has been very, very slow. And, it's like really, really a turtle pace, which we really would want to move faster on. For example, there was a time when we were all talking about maternal mortality rates for women, which is very important. The fertility rates for women, which are very important indicators that actually help women to access the other economic part of their life. Get into the move out of the reproductive part and move into the productive part of the economy and the society. While in a phase, while the MMRs reduced significantly, the fertility rates reduced significantly at a very fast pace. In the last 5 to 7 years, we see that pace has actually got stalled. So while over a longer span, we see the social doing very well. We don't see those changes becoming very fast at a shorter span of time. I don't want to spend much time on that bit. I want to come to the economic part a little more. And in the economic part, I think one of the most important and the crucial things that IWAGE is, in fact, the birth of IWAGE was also talk about and discuss these crucial issues about why are so few women in the labor force in India. Well, why do the numbers show like that? Is it really true? Are they not getting captured really well? I think there are so many questions that one needs to answer when one is talking about women in the economy, women in the labor force. I think one of the crucial things is that, yes, the numbers do give us some sense of the less number of women that are there in the workforce. But it also tells us that we don't see women not doing anything. We never see women as unemployed. Women are always doing something or the other. Whether that is a direct contribution to the economy or an indirect contribution is something different, but they are always contributing. And this indirect contribution part is constantly in the last 10 to 15 years, they have increased in such a huge proportion that women are spending more and more time in terms of indirectly contributing to the society and the economy. And by that indirect contribution, I come to the next part of your question, that is basically how women contribute into the household production, into the household management, and into their entire role as caregivers for the economy and the society. And that burden on women has increased so much disproportionately as compared to men in the past 15 years, which is due to two major reasons, which I'll come a little later. But this factor is actually using up so much time of women in their usual 24-hour working day. I mean, 24-hour normal day, that they are unable to really participate in meaningful productive activities, and hence we see very few women participating in the labor force. Now, what is it that has increased in the last 15 years in this indirect contribution? If we see that while the social indicators show improvement for women and girls, we also see that there has been a retreat of the state from providing specific services to the entire population, not only women. For example, reducing the resources for providing universal health coverage, reducing resources for providing access to, also mitigate violence, which was there for a very long time. Violence is a very crucial component for enabling women to participate in the economic sphere. All of these basically what I want to say is the government is moving towards a system of providing services, crucial basic amenities in a public-private partnership model, which is an effective model if implemented properly, but becomes ineffective if there are no regulations and control. And that kind of falls back on the women at home to care and provide the care that is reducing from the state's ambit. And that kind of increases the amount of time that women spend. So, for example, while women used to spend some amount of time on childcare and there were community services, if that gets reduced, and I'm just giving you an example, I'm not saying this is happening, but that if that gets reduced, then women end up spending. So the lack of childcare facilities actually lead women to spend more time on individual childcare, and they cannot really contribute to the productive economy. And
Right.
that, I think, is happening in a way that women's indirect contribution to the economy, that is the contribution to the household work, contribution into household management, contribution into care economy, is actually increasing for women in the economy, which is what is creating a very strong barrier for women to be able to access kind of jobs that they would want to in the labor market. I think I'll stop here. There's a whole lot to talk about, but I think I'm going to just stop here and answer questions if there are.
Thanks, Sona. I think a lot of emotional connection came on this one. But I definitely understand. And I think what you mentioned as the lack of care infrastructure in India also leads to a lot of women spending their time. I think Indra Nooyi also articulated that care infrastructure needs to be strengthened. It's not just India, it's global issue also in multiple countries. If that gets strengthened, then a lot of these issues can be solved for.
Yeah, just to add one
Yeah.
thing, because I'm an economist, I just want to, I mean, I always have these tendencies of talking in numbers. Just want to say that India is a really exceptional case when it comes to women's contribution to the care economy compared to men. Women spend 66% of their time, more time compared to men in the unpaid economy, and women spend almost 10 times more on unpaid work compared to men, and the global numbers are women spend only 3 times more on unpaid work compared to the men all across the world. So we see how exceptional India is in terms of women having to do all the unpaid work.
Thank you. Thank you for leaving us, all of our participants, with this hard-hitting fact, something that all of us need to solve for through our own work. So, of course, our chat is loaded with questions, but before I open it up for Q&A, one final thing. So each of you are change champions. Each of you are a role model in yourself. So what has been your journey as a woman leader? What are some of the challenges that you faced, and what enabled you to kind of get going and reach where you are? So Seema, I would love to begin with you.
No, look, I think this can be these can be very long answers given the long careers each one of us has had. But we'll keep it short. When I joined my previous employer, BCG, I was literally the second woman in the office. In a very large, in a reasonably large office at that point of time. And consulting itself was a new business, and women in consulting was just almost completely unheard of. So when you went to a cement client or any type of industrial goods client, they wouldn't even have a washroom that you could actually go to. Forget about accepting a woman as someone who would actually 25, 26-year-old woman who would give advice to a 45, 50-year-old. I think the world has changed quite significantly since then, thankfully, in good ways. For me, I think. So I won't talk about the challenges, but I'll talk about, I think, honestly, what worked. I think what worked was finding mentors. And mentors are often in very unlikely places. My biggest mentor and guide was a man Janmejay Sinha, who was the head of our office at that point of time, 15 years older, had 2 boys from Bihar. But still, I think for some reason, he just thought of me, and he thought of me and my career proactively. And I knew that I could always just go to him, right? And there were a number of mentors. Arun Maira was another mentor and continues to be another mentor. So I think finding mentors and approaching them proactively, I think self-belief, a little bit. You just have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that you will get through the bad days, and the good days will actually I think third is asking, right? Asking for what you want, where you want to go, and what you want to be. If not, you shouldn't sit and imagine that people will always be thinking of you and will give you the next opportunity. I think being bold and asking. When I took on the Asia Pacific leader role, I went and asked for it. To be honest, even this role that I'm in, I think I went and asked for it, right? I've never sort of gotten something just handed to me. But asking, and sometimes someone may say no, but that's the worst that can happen, that someone will say no. But quite often people will say yes. So I think just in surrounding yourself with a support ecosystem, not believing that you have to do it on your own. I have 2 kids, 14 and 12. Whether it's friends, help, parents, grandparents, their father, just surrounding yourself with a lot of help and not believing that you are the only one who has to do everything, or you are even best placed to do everything. So I think those are some of the things which have worked for me. But yeah, and staying positive through it all.
Thank you so much. There's a lot of practical advice on what can be done. Smita, why don't you go next?
Okay, so I think I'll build on what Seema has said. So, I started my career maybe 2.5 decades back. And I was acutely aware of, I had that opportunity where internet was kind of coming in, and then mobile came, and all that opportunities which were exploding. But at the same time, I know where my grandmother were, who were, maybe got to go to school, study to a particular extent. My mothers and aunts were at least allowed to go to college, and I was where I could pursue all these higher degrees. And my daughter, right, who will go abroad much earlier than me, right? So, firstly, overall, right, extremely grateful for where I was. And I think that's a message maybe for the younger people also, that you guys are the elite, right, in the country, and you all are also role models for others. Maybe you don't know that, but maybe the maid's daughter or son are looking at you and seeing, what you can achieve. And every generation kind of progresses a little more, right? Like the intelligence increases, and maybe these gender issues will not be there a decade later. It shouldn't be there, right? That's really the hope. But at the same time, things which kind of work and would work for, I guess, everybody is, hard work is not an option. You have to work hard. You have to give yourself permission to be courageous. I went to different countries, worked in different sectors. I was curious by my nature. Some people might not be, they might want to stick to what they want. So you really need to analyze yourself, that what works for you. And what works for you, you're truly unique, right? And you can only know by putting yourself in different situations. So understand that, and give yourself like you are giving yourself permission to ask for help, but give yourself the permission to fail also, right? The second thing is, like, there are a lot of mentors, there are a lot of supporters. Surround yourself with those people who think that you can, and not the naysayers. I had the support of my parents, who thought, we were two sisters, that you could be anything you want, right? To quote the famous song. And if you truly believe that and give yourself the permission to fail, you're far from perfect. I think you will go places. So basically, put a mindset together where you can roll with the punches, right? So that's really the second thing. The third thing which really helped me was, I was in different situations, different countries. Like, I saw poverty in India. I knew I really valued contribution. When I went to Africa, it was a totally different, level of poverty. I had gone to South Africa. I saw apartheid. I saw these grandmothers who were strong. Went to developed countries, same, similar women's issues around care. So moment you put yourself in different situations, right, you have more data points to decide what you want to do. And I think, this particular group, whether men or women, right, we have to build a society which is just, right? And all of you have a role to play in that.
Thank you. Thank you. I think these are all loaded questions, bringing the best of all of you. Thank you so much. So moving on to you, Madhu. Before I do that, Seema, I know you have to leave at 11:50, but thank you so much for being part of the panel, for sharing your practical insights with all of us. But thank you so much. And Madhu, would love to hear from you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Ujjwal. Again, a question that kind of, I mean, there's a lot that can be discussed. But yeah, I think my own awareness of the, particularities of my situation as a woman leader keeps on, evolving. In the early years, I think I went through several phases without, I think, understanding the larger, the gendered nature of our society, and kind of held myself to account more than, what was needed. So I think that's something that with more consciousness around, these issues, I think that's something that many women kind of look more inwardly and kind of then not, looking at factors beyond themselves. Coming to Pradhan, in an organization which is kind of heavily focused on implementation, focus is always on doing, even though, we pride ourselves as an organization that appreciates thinking and reflection, but still, maintaining a balance between the masculine and feminine aspects of the organization, and also meeting the demands of the external world, which also operates on similar societal paradigm, is a constant challenge. So my own journey is kind of based in and a product of that reality. My advice to young people would be to be conscious of that reality, but recognizing it is not adequate. And I think all that Seema and Smita have kind of all said things that are very, very valuable. So I think keep working on ways to overcome, for which I don't think there is a set formula, but will depend upon the specific organizational culture and context. So making allies across the spectrum, I think is very, very important. And there's no alternative to, as Smita also said, to making your presence felt through your work, but also, also your articulation, both, spoken and, yeah.
Thank you so much, Madhu. Finally, Sona.
Yeah, I think much of what others are saying, but I would also like to iterate of one of the important points that, I've been trained through and through as an economist, but I do very less economics these days. But what I realized is uh, disciplines are also, like occupations are segregated by men and women. Disciplines are also extremely segregated, and economics still is a very male dominated space. And you see, in my personal journey, I think uh, I probably would have been able to say that there were struggles to establish yourself as an economist. But when you talk about, especially when you are talking about women labor, which have been my area of work, and those are not really, those were till recent times were not really considered as topics of economics. It is excellent that this year the Nobel went to Claudia Golden, who actually opened up so much in economics, and a person whom we have studied when read when we were learning our trade and all of that. But I think these are, but the space is very gendered, and even when we talk of women and labor, you'll see it's only women. It's a very, very female dominated space. So I would say my journey has basically is starting. I'm no, I mean, I would consider myself as a leader when I'm talking to the entire population. At the moment, wherever I go, whoever I speak with, even at a conference where when we are talking about women and labor, it is almost 50% of the population there. It's all women conferences. It's all women there. Even now we are all women. That space needs to be broken. There has to be space. And my advice to everyone here, because they are students and they have this, and I see younger generation, the men, the young men, especially, are very, very keen to actually get into that space of, talking about women's empowerment, because I think uh, part of them sees value in empowering the rest of the 50% of the population. And that is something for the women, please do not think that it is your space. You have to transcend. And I think when we talk about gender equality, it's about equal space for women and men. There's no competition in that. It's about, nurturing each other. So that's the kind of advice. Just want to say one very just an anecdote. And last week I was at a Kerala government meeting. It was an annual festival which was happening, and they had around 25 seminar panels, one of which was gender and development. The Minister of Women and Child in the state was sharing it. I was a panelist. I spoke and addressed 1,200 people in which on gender and development. And when I looked at the audience, there were hardly 15 men out of the 1,200 janta present there. And because the panel was on gender and development, and then I attended one on finance, economy, Kerala economy, and you would see that very few women into that. So I think the spaces where women are talking about women are still the ones that are thriving for women, but spaces where we need to transcend are spaces that kind of needs to break those segregations. And that's where we have these norm questions. I see all of those coming in the chat box. We'll speak on it when we come to that.
Thank you so much, Sona. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time for questions, but like I think you said, it's not just breaking the barriers, but also breaking these segregations and making them much gender balanced forums. But thank you so much. Like I said, we couldn't have had a better panel for discussion on this deep topic. Thank you, Seema. Thank you, Smita. Thank you, Madhu, and thank you, Sona, for sharing all of your deep, great, enriching insights with all the emotions that go behind all of this. I think I can it's just a session where I think I am also seeking all of these insights as a mentee of all of you. But thank you so much. And we'll send across these questions more as a record for all of you over mail. Unfortunately, we couldn't take, and I think our participants would be angry with us, but I think a lot of insights for them as they think through the solutions of how can we really empower women in Odisha, which is the problem statement for this year. And I know it's too much to ask for, but today and tomorrow we'll be having these presentations. And if by any chance, and if you have time, would love for you to join and view these presentations and share your insights on how they can make their solutions more practical and more rooted in reality. But I'll reach out in case you have time. But thank you so much for being part of the panel. Thank you so much. Over to you, Venkatesh. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Hi, folks. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for for staying put and listening to both the Change Champion talk as well as the panel discussion. I'm sure it was a great learning experience for all of you. So now we are heading towards the presentations, right? As shared on the chat here as well as on the WhatsApp group. All of you can join the two respective Zoom Zoom links which have been shared. So how we're going to go about it is that there are about 7 presentations to be done in panel 1, and in jury panel 2 there will be 8 presentations. So in total of 15 presentations will be made. But regardless of whether you're presenting today or not, the expectation is that all of you will be in either of the groups. The 7 teams and the 8 teams will be presenting in the sequence which has been given, and subsequent to that, we will also have Q&A after every presentation from the other teams as well. So please be participative, please keep on asking questions, and I'll be ending this webinar link now, and you can join the 2 links. Just look at the names of your college and just